The earthvox podcast. The earthvox podcast. earthvox podcast.
And a very good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. It's going to be a really fun show. I've developed another conspiracy theory that I am excited to share with you. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, but most importantly, click that share button and bestow the splendor of this podcast upon someone else. Digest the content and decide for yourself. Do I send this to someone that I like or someone I hate? So we're going to do it a little different today. I think, I don't know, I was going back and forth. Do I want to start with the conspiracy theory or do I want to start with the news? There's some very interesting news topics, big stories that I'm looking forward to covering. But the real work in preparation went into developing my conspiracy theory, which isn't exactly groundbreaking. But I was listening to a podcast last week sometime. And the topics they were discussing just suddenly injected this concept into my brain. And I didn't rip anybody off. But aliens and UFOs and sort of cryptid theories. A cryptid is something like, it's like a mythical creature. Unicorns, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and on and on. There's several other names I could drop. Skinwalkers, which are actually pretty terrifying if you ever dig into things involving skinwalkers and Skinwalker Ranch, which is a real place. The happenings at the Skinwalker Ranch may be embellished and or fabricated, but cryptids all fall, or that falls under the category of cryptids as well. And since aliens and UFOs and things of that nature are pretty popular topics for content creators, I felt it appropriate to develop this theory. Because a long time ago, I was probably in my 20s. I was laying on my couch in my apartment watching TV, and I thought, what if the aliens are from Earth and never left? And this sort of points to the hollow Earth theory. That down in the center of the Earth is not, liquid hot magma. There's another ecosystem down there. And this has been presented, this concept has been presented in movies. Like it was a King Kong or a Godzilla movie that came out a few years ago. Actually took us down into the hollow Earth. And then I think, what was it? The Meg? I think that's what it was. The movie about the megalodon, prehistoric shark that resurfaced somewhere from, down deep below in the hollow Earth. And I think it was the Meg 2. I'm looking it up because I have to know. You know, it's a characteristic of genius when you're never certain about anything. So I feel very I feel very privileged to be always second guessing myself. It's not at all inconvenient. Meg 2, The Trench. Let's look together. I'll share the screen for you. The video is streaming Sundays at 11-ish live, but also available for you to check out at any time on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, or X. If you go there, if you are there, please hit the like button, leave me a nice comment. Do whatever you can do to elevate this content in the algorithm. The synopsis, I suppose, for the Meg 2, a research team's journey into the depths of the ocean turns into chaos when a mining operation forces them into a battle for survival, facing off against megalodons and relentless environmental marauders. This movie was terrible compared to the first one, which I was keenly interested in because I was into sharks and dinosaurs as a young boy, as many young boys are. And I found the megalodon to be just fascinating. Giant shark the size of a skyscraper swimming around in the oceans. It seems pretty unbelievable. But these ancient aliens theories kind of draw from the hollow earth theory that suggests that's where the aliens live. That's where the dinosaurs went. That's where the woolly mammoths went. They found their way, either they found their way down into the hollow earth and that's where they live, or they came from the hollow earth until we killed them all off as hungry cavemen or some such. But this theory that I'm about to share with you, or that I've already begun sharing with you, stemmed from considering all of these efforts seemingly to depopulate the planet, and just considering, like, what's the agenda here? Why do we want so many fewer people on the planet? What are we afraid? I mean, because the concept of overpopulation seems just asinine. Look out the window when you're the next time you're flying in an airplane. Doesn't look very overpopulated. Of course, there are, emissions things to consider if you sign on to any of those kind of beliefs. But I don't necessarily believe that just the simple existence of human beings on the planet is really, leading to the demise of the planet. I don't really believe that. At least it's unproven. I do believe, as I've said before, that we should be good stewards of the planet and not be wasteful if we can be conservative. I think that's just having good habits. Let's not use more energy than we need. Let's not create more waste than is necessary just because we can. But there's lots of room for human beings to expand, branch out, live comfortably. So what's the agenda? Well, I think the aliens want their planet back. That's right. And there's too many of us here to live comfortably. I mean, maybe they don't even want, maybe the aliens don't even want to share the planet. So where does this come from? Well, it starts sort of with the concept of ancient aliens and a man called Zachariah Sitchin. I consulted Grok heavily in the developing of these theories. And we'll just start with, I think, probably the grandfather of this idea, Zecharia Sitchin. Grok writes, or responds to my prompt. Zecharia Sitchin's theory, outlined in his book The 12th Planet from 1976 and his Earth Chronicles series, interprets ancient Sumerian, Babylonian, and biblical texts as literal historical records of extraterrestrial visitors. He claimed the Anunnaki, described in Mesopotamian myths as gods, were actually advanced humanoid aliens from a planet called Nibiru, the 12th planet. Arrived on Earth around 450 to 500,000 years ago, came to Earth seeking gold, these ancient aliens, which of course this diverts from the hollow Earth theory, which is kind of where I take issue with it because of how shady space exploration, the disclosure of the information surrounding space exploration gives me the sense that there's a lot more or a lot less going on that needs to be hidden from us. Like the moon landing conspiracy theory, that it didn't ever actually happen, that the Van Allen radiation belt is too dangerous for people to get through. Okay, I can see the validity in that theory. But Zecharia Sitchin, he conceptualized this idea that the Anunnaki came, found, discovered Earth 450,000 years ago because they wanted gold. They needed gold to repair their planet's deteriorating atmosphere by dispersing it as fine dust particles. They established mining operations primarily in Africa and a base in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq. And this is where I think the conspiracy theory about Saddam Hussein and the Stargate comes from. Because this was one of the conspiracy theories that developed during the Afghanistan and Iraq wars in the early 2000s. Saddam Hussein found an Anunnaki Stargate and is going to use it to do bad stuff. So I love it. I love it. So we got to invade Iraq. We can seize control of Saddam Hussein's Stargate because we can't have him traveling to Nibiru and spreading Islam to the Anunnaki or something. What's interesting and believable to me about this theory is that human beings are already working on this technology. And I love how this connects. I'm going to have to jump a little bit forward a little bit in my notes because I mean, based on some news that popped up earlier this week, let me see, where's the headline? Life has been discovered on Mars. This headline from KHQ.com, an NBC affiliate, reads, "Life on Mars, NASA found something that may indicate just that." And this got me thinking. They found, well, I'll just read you from the article. NASA's Curiosity Mars rover has discovered never before seen organic compounds that may indicate there was once life on the red planet. The nuclear-powered robot uncovered a diverse mix of organic molecules, including chemicals widely considered building blocks for the origin of life on Earth. Scientists say the findings, which come from a chemical experiment performed for the first time on another world, reveal that the Martian surface can preserve the kinds of molecules that could serve as signs of ancient life. But they pointed out that the experiment can't distinguish between organic compounds from potential past life on Mars and those formed through geological processes or delivered by meteorites, which is kind of like the modern evolutionary theory. Oh, yes, meteors hit the earth and brought these building blocks of life. And then we had amoebas and protozoas and swimming things that eventually clambered out of the water onto the rocks and discovered that they could breathe air. And yeah. I don't much sign on to that theory, that creation theory myself. So I thought, oh, okay, well, we got the building blocks of life. We got to be interested in what we could potentially do on Mars. My question is, have the Anunnaki already been to Mars? Is Mars tapped out? Are we wasting our time there? And now I'm not sure where to go next. This is the most fun part of conducting this show, this podcast. How does it all fit together? And there's so much. It's mind-boggling sometimes. So on the topic of the Anunnaki, the theory goes, they come here. There's cavemen. Basically chimps, gorillas. Isn't it true that we have we're more closely related to chimps than chimps are related to gorillas? I think that's how the story goes. So when the Anunnaki arrive, celebrated as deities, which begs the question, did they just appoint themselves as deities? Or did the population of the planet go, no, these are, you just think the ancient, the old Hollywood stories that show, the natives, whatever, Christopher Columbus lands at Plymouth Rock, and the natives go, oh, they're gods. They're the white man. They have ships and technology. They must be deities. Because you have to consider this ancient race of space travelers shows up on Earth to what? We're talking about 500,000 years ago. Theoretically, I know this doesn't jive with a lot of the popular theories and the popular religions. And in fact, it's considered very blasphemous. According to Christianity. I asked Grok, knowing the answer myself for all intents and purposes. Would Christianity and other modern religions consider this theory to be heretical? According to Christianity, the mainstream view, strongly heretical or incompatible with Orthodox belief. Sitchin's claims that gods in the Bible were actually aliens. Humans were genetically engineered as slaves. The flood was caused by a planet's orbit, and civilization was jump-started by extraterrestrials. Directly denies that God is the sole creator. There is only one God. The authority and literal historical reliability of Scripture all called into question. Christians don't like this theory. Understandably so. It's just interesting. I'm not trying to sell you on it. This theory is also heretical according to Judaism. Sitchin, who was Jewish, reinterprets the Torah and Hebrew Bible as alien intervention. This violates strict monotheism and the idea of God as the sole creator. Jewish scholars reject his translations and interpretations as inaccurate and distorting. Traditional Judaism sees such theories as incompatible with the Torah's teachings on creation and divine sovereignty. Mainstream Islam considers this theory to be shirk, the gravest sin of associating partners with Allah, or satanic deception. The theory contradicts Tawhid, the absolute oneness of God slash Allah, and the Quranic account of creation by Allah alone. Many Muslim sources view the Anunnaki narrative as jinn, demonic beings, or shaitan, Satan, disguising themselves to mislead humanity, question origins, and undermine faith in Allah. It's seen as part of a broader plan to make people doubt Islamic teachings on human origins and prophethood. Now, in the other religions, the other major religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, these theories actually pull from some of the texts associated with these beliefs. The official position by the leaders of Hinduism is mixed, but generally recognized as incompatible with orthodoxy. Some ancient astronaut theorists cherry-picked Vedic texts, Vimanas, gods descending from the sky, but traditional Hinduism views the gods as divine spiritual beings within a cosmic order. I'm not an expert on Hinduism. Buddhists aren't interested generally because Buddhism focuses on suffering, karma, and enlightenment rather than creation myths. I like the language there, creation myths. Well, we were created somehow, and we don't really know, and that's why this is interesting to me. These aliens showed up, humanoids. I mean, how much do they look like us? Then they used their DNA, mixed it with primate DNA, and created these soft, pink, fragile, very dependent creatures to mine the resources of the planet so that they could ship these resources to their planet, Nibiru, to reinforce the atmosphere in some sort of terraforming effort. Now, the theory continues, this planet, Nibiru, orbits close to Earth every 3,600 years, which puts their return at somewhere around 2,900. Now, what's happened in this time? Have they been continuing to visit? Is that what the Artemis 2 mission was about? We're going to go out there, we're going to drop some gold on the dark side of the moon. Buy us a little more time from these Anunnaki. But look at what we've been doing in all of these years. How much contact? Theoretical. This is all theoretical. We're having fun here. How much contact have we had with these people? What does Elon Musk know about the Anunnaki? So at this point, my theory kind of splits. Do we need to move? Or are we looking at the asteroid belt for more resources? And I mean, who really knows? They say, the experts, they tell us. Asteroids have, I mean, that movie from, well, I don't know if it was a Netflix original or what, but it was on Netflix for a long time. Don't Look Up. There was a massive asteroid on a collision course for Earth. And the powers that be just wanted to pretend like it wasn't happening. Hence the title of the movie, Don't Look Up. And then the savior, the person with the highest potential of being able to destroy the asteroid or divert the asteroid, he decided, based on analysis, that the asteroid was rich in minerals, and it was more beneficial to try to mine the minerals and make himself rich than it was to actually save the planet. But I think it's pretty well known. Maybe we ask Grok. Is it well known and agreed that asteroids have valuable minerals inside? Because this is where my theory and my line of thinking takes me. Okay, well, what's if the motivation, what honestly is the motivation of building a base on the moon, building a base on Mars? Are we colonizing? Are we trying to get out before something bad happens to the Earth? Grok says, yes, it is well known and broadly agreed upon in the scientific community that certain asteroids contain valuable minerals and metals. Thank you. Now let's see. I probably have to fix my. Yeah, this is classic. Gotta only get half a screen if I just close a screen tab that I'm sharing. So we take off from Earth. We make a base on the moon. And what's the advantage of a base on the moon? Well, a base on the moon is like a low gravity hub to land and take off from. With minimal gravity, requires much less energy to launch a rocket from the moon than it does to launch a rocket from Earth. But the distance between the moon and the Earth is negligible compared to the distance between the Earth and Mars. But if you look at it on a map created by a person that probably doesn't really have any idea, the planets are pretty equidistant between themselves. So we just build a base on the moon, a star base. Isn't that cool? And we launch rockets. We man missions. It's a forward operating base to get to Mars, which we then began terraforming. Because I asked about examples and development. Because the weather on Mars, according to what we've learned from the NASA's Curiosity rover, is that the weather is extremely cold, dry, and thin atmosphered. A perpetual deep freeze with no breathable air and dramatic temperature swings between day and night. High temperatures around 18 to 27 degrees. Low temperatures to minus 92 at night, which are air temperatures. Gusting winds, low atmospheric pressure, sandstorms, radiation, and just general tragic wasteland weather. But techniques are being developed to make Mars more hospitable outside of, like a biodome type scenario. And the first item is atmospheric manipulation, nanoparticles, creating greenhouse effects, like all of the things that we're talking about here. Bill Gates wants to inject things into the atmosphere to stop global warming, to make the surface of the planet not so hot, to create greenhouse effects. Like all of the things that they say are bad that are happening here because of terrible human beings that create so much pollution are actually being discussed as beneficial phenomena that could perpetuate human life on Mars. I mean, isn't that's pretty funny. It's bad on Earth, but it's great on Mars. But this kind of thing is decades away. And the final paragraph from the Grok response is these techniques are being actively modeled and prioritized in workshops because they could also benefit Earth. Advanced aerosols for climate control. Uh-oh. Near-term human missions will test ISRU, it's an acronym for some of their experiments, and habitats, paving the way. It's an exciting, rapidly evolving field. Full habitability is a multi-generational project, but the building blocks are advancing fast. Was this concept gifted by the Anunnaki? There's obviously scientific data that backs this up. I mean, it doesn't talk about injecting gold, but in terms of what they're doing on Mars, the explanation reads particles are produced from Martian regolith, iron aluminum rich dust, and released continuously from surface sources. 3D climate models show stable global saturation. Could raise average surface temperatures by 35 degrees Celsius within 15 Martian years. Enough for stable liquid water in many regions. I mean, isn't that's so cool? It's like science fiction coming to life, becoming science nonfiction. And I mean, we should probably do this even if ancient aliens are telling us aren't telling us that it's time to go. But I feel like this is very feasible. And I believe that just because of all the secrecy surrounding what is known about UFOs and extraterrestrial life. It allows these kind of conspiracy theories to perpetuate, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I know it's potentially blasphemous, but that's not my goal here. I'm not trying to convince you that this is real life. Real life is tragic. Let's talk instead about how cool it would be if this instead was real life, albeit inconvenient. Yes, the aliens that genetically engineered human beings using their DNA and the DNA of chimps and caveman Neanderthals on the planet are coming back. And something bad happens. Their experiment with injecting gold dust and other earth minerals into the atmosphere to stabilize the temperature and allow water to perpetuate on the planet or at least continue to exist. It failed. It failed, and they knew that it was failing, I don't know, 100 years ago. And this is the gateway into the next discussion. If or the next theory, I should say. If this is the case, It would explain why we are engaged in all of this depopulation and the overpopulation narratives. It's a good indication of the motive behind all of these population crushing agendas. If, of course, you don't believe that global warming is the greatest threat to human civilization. And I think we've already established where I come down on that. Why? I mean, why can we agree that the powers that be, the leaders of the world, seem to kind of hate human beings? That's why they want us to stop having kids. They want us to be slaves to our jobs. They want us to be generally miserable. I mean, you know how bad it's gotten in the corporate world? I follow a lot of subreddits for major corporations. And their employees get on get onto these subreddits and complain anonymously about how terrible it is to work for these mega corporations that don't care about them and treat them like dirts, like insects, easily replaceable. Now we're developing AI, we're building robots. What's the plan? What's the motivator? I mean, we talked last week about how the poverty of the entire human race massively impacts the corporations that want to sell things to these people that don't have any money because their gainful employment was stolen from them. They were fired from their job and replaced by AI or a robot or a self driving truck. So maybe the mainstream narrative is accurate. Okay, yeah, your job was replaced by AI, but there's another job for you to go to. When horse and buggy fell out of popularity as the primary mode for travel, a lot of people lost their jobs. The people making buggies lost their jobs. The people operating horse ranches lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods. But they went on, found new jobs, went to work in a Ford factory making cars. But now we're looking at technological advancements that could replace almost every human job. And everybody's really excited about it. So, what's the end game? What are we trying to accomplish? Is the human race going to be eradicated or is it going to go somewhere else? Are we moving to Mars or are we working on Mars? There are certainly many real world incentives, programs, agendas, narratives that are contributing to a depopulation of the planet that people like Elon Musk find to be very alarming. So, in the context of this crazy Anunnaki, ancient aliens theory, I asked Grok about, oh, my phone thought I said Siri. I started thinking, I mean, outside of asking Grok, I thought this would explain a lot about the one child policy, about feminism in general. What do you got, Grok? What do you think? What have I missed? Hypothetically, let's say, okay, the Anunnaki know their efforts to save their planet have failed. But they know that however many hundred of light years away, there's this sweet little planet that still has lots of water, not too much CO2. We haven't destroyed it completely as human beings. And they can go back. They can go back and live on Earth. But there's too many people. There's too many human beings. They haven't been able to get back. They haven't been able to control the population well enough. They haven't been able to keep it under 500 million, as the Georgia Guidestones suggested. What are we going to do? I feel like I just want to read you this whole thing. Ancient alien overlords who seeded humanity, now circling back for prime real estate. This is all written by Grok. It's pretty impressive. But too classy for nukes or plagues that trash the Wi-Fi in shopping malls. I mean, do you think that's their mentality? I don't know if that mentality would work for a super civilization of ancient aliens. I mean, can you see us and with the political climate, with the behavior of the people that run the planet? Can you see us advancing to this point where, I mean, maybe not if it was American politicians. I mean, I feel like we're too greedy. We're too selfish. We would want to mine the asteroid that's coming to destroy the planet rather than save the planet. Do you think that we have the fortitude to do what it takes to become a population that covers the entire solar system? Or do you think we would just we're ultimately now reverting back to being cavemen? The nuclear holocaust is nigh, and we're going to eradicate ourselves because that's just how human beings, that's how we've been engineered. We're greedy, we're selfish, and we're not interested in the betterments of the human species, which is sort of the basis for the Star Trek series. We're not interested in wealth anymore. We want, we have higher goals. This concept that the Anunnaki are too classy to nuke us or plague us. They want a soft landing. Planet pristine, infrastructure humming, resources untouched. Depopulation via slow, clever attrition that looks like progress or personal choice. Classic conspiracy elegance. The humans do it themselves while cheering. This came from Grok. This is so cool. So here's the list of plays, and it involves everything that I was assuming. Generational fertility sabotage via everyday exposures. Flood the environment with subtle endocrine disruptors, plastics, pesticides, food additives, forever chemicals that quietly tank sperm counts, egg quality, and hormone balance over 2 to 3 generations. No mass die off, just fewer viable pregnancies, higher miscarriages, and quote, unexplained infertility, which hits hardest in high consumption areas. Looks like modern life and the planet's ecosystems stay intact. Economic traps, item 2, that make kids a luxury item. Engineer skyrocketing housing, education, and childcare costs while glorifying dual income careers and debt fueled lifestyles. Young adults delay or skip kids until their 30s and 40s when fertility has naturally dropped. Throw in student loans and gig economy instability, so starting a family feels irresponsible. Infrastructure stays pristine, humans just get priced out of reproduction. Cultural programming for the child-free hero. Use media, social platforms, education, and celebrities to normalize and romanticize childless or one-kid lives as empowering, eco-friendly, and sexy. This is not, having one child is not enough to replace the population in a way that would sustain the human race. Push overpopulation guilt, intensive parenting standards that exhaust people, and apps and culture that delay pair bonding. Feminism, careerism, and self-care become weapons. Women gain real agency, win-win optics, but birth rates crater. No bombs needed, just memes and TED Talks. Number 4, health interventions with built-in side quests. Roll out global vaccination, supplement or routine medical programs that have plausible deniability effects on fertility. Subtle sterilization compounds, hormonal tweaks, or immune responses that affect reproduction. Frame it as saving lines or equity. Pair with longevity tech for the compliant elite, while the masses get just enough health to work, but not enough to breed sustainably. Demographic engineering via urban tech and design. Item 5, promote hyper-urbanization, tiny apartments, and screen-based social lives that reduce real-world mating opportunities. Add AI dating algorithms that optimize for hookups over commitments. Plus, sustainable policies limiting family-sized housing. Throw in low-level chronic stressors, noise, light pollution, social media dopamine loops that suppress libido, pair bonding, hormones. Cities stay gleaming, population just plateaus. Finally, selective longevity and aging population pressure. Advanced medicine that lets people live longer, keeping the workforce going, but quietly discourages or complicates late life reproduction. Combined with cultural shifts, celebrating DINK, which stands for double income, no kids lifestyles, and euthanasia, normalized end of life options for the elderly. The pyramid inverts slowly. No war, just fewer young replacements. And now we have real world examples of this, which I mentioned a little bit. China's one child policy that ended in 2014. Coercive limits to children via fines, job penalties, forced abortions, and sterilizations in some cases prevented hundreds of millions of births, skewed demographics, but kept the economy humming. Now they're reversing it because there's a real population concern. India in the 1970s had sterilization drives, especially during the 1975 emergency. Millions of often poor men and women incentivized or pressured into vasectomies, tubectomies, with radios, cash, or threats of lost benefits. Massive backlash helped topple a government, but it was explicit population control tied to poverty and resources. Singapore's Stop at 2 campaign through the 60s and to the 80s. Government pushed sterilization after 2 kids with tax breaks, housing priority, and school advantages for smaller families, plus disincentives for more. later flipped to pronatalist bonuses when it worked too well. So someone is seeding this depopulation agenda to the leaders of these countries. I mean, this is a global concept. International Family Planning Programs, UNFPA, USAID, World Bank, etc. Decades of funding contraception, education for girls, and reproductive health in developing nations. Critics and conspiracists call it Western elites slowing third world growth to preserve resources. Places like Kenya and Thailand saw big fertility drops via voluntary access, framed as empowerment. But some see hidden agendas. And then the Georgia Guidestones, of course, literally called for maintaining humanity under 500 million. Bill Gates' old TED Talk on vaccines plus healthcare, reducing child mortality so parents choose fewer kids, gets clipped as depopulation code. Agenda 21 2030 sustainability goals get painted as UN blueprints for control via green limits on growth. So somebody thought a long time ago that we need to have fewer people here. And it's becoming more and more common to talk about aliens. Politicians have gone on record saying there are things to know, there are things to see. And this all culminates in the development of this theory. Are we out? Are we done? Is there no more? Have we outstayed our welcome here on this planet? Or have the elites just decided that they're done with us? They only want 100 million human beings. With a yearly income requirement. You need to make over $100 million a year if you want to continue to live on the earth with the robots. The rest of you are going to mine Mars. Or your children will go to mine Mars. You'll go to establish the colony. Or is this a desperate attempt to find a new place? Because the aliens are coming back. They want their planet back. They found it 500,000 years ago. They put us here. They can take us away. And some of the elites know this. So we got to get the ball rolling on getting into outer space. Get into outer space, get to the moon, get to Mars. It's scary, but it's also kind of cool, right? This is my thought on the topic. I still ultimately, after dissecting all of this information, I still feel like the simulation theory is more viable. So what did you think? That was a little rough, right? I'm not mad about it. I'm trying to do something different because, as I've mentioned before, politics is becoming tiresome and disappointing and hard to be excited about. There was a big indictment from on the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, was caught allegedly financing hate groups to justify their own existence. The left has now come out and said, oh, they were just paying informants. We'll see what happens. I have a bunch of notes on it, but I think I'm going to save them for next week. We're going to develop the story a little bit more and see what actually comes of it, see if it's worth talking about, spending our time. There was a shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That was pretty wild. No one was killed. An officer was shot, but he had a bulletproof vest on, so he's going to be okay. Should I have talked about that today? I mean, should we have foregone the interesting alien conversations? I don't even know how it went. It felt a little herky-jerky. I wanted to try something new. I wanted to try something non-political. I wanted to try something about aliens. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see what happens next week. Maybe we return to the news. Maybe we keep talking about conspiracy theories. On one hand, I want to motivate myself to be excited by the current events. On the other hand, I think, why should I force myself to talk about something that I don't find to be all that interesting on my own podcast? I can talk about aliens if I want to. I can talk about crazy conspiracy theories that I don't necessarily believe in because I find that to be a lot more interesting than talking about some wacko leftist that tried to go shoot up the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Or some corrupt NGO that has been... I mean, haven't we talked about it on this show many, many times? It's all fake. All of these things that make major headlines from leftist media publications, it's all designed, it's all fabricated to make you really mad and really concerned and feel like you don't recognize your own country or any of the people in it. And now this is proof. Now we have the documents. Will anything come of this? I don't know. That's what makes it boring for me. That's what makes it not exciting. Will anyone pay the price? Or are we just going to continue showing evidence and not acting on it? We'll have to find out. I thank you very much for joining me. I thank you very much for sticking with me this far, if you did, if you managed to make it, or if you were bored, senseless, and had to click off, then you're not listening to this, and I don't have any trouble saying I don't care what you think. But I appreciate you real G's, you ride or die people that stuck with me all the way to the end. If you haven't already, click the like button. Click the share button. If you made it this far, I'm sure you're already subscribed. But if not, hit that subscribe button. Brother, sister, it's free. It doesn't cost a thing. And I thank you in advance for sharing the show. Do you think the aliens are coming back? Do you think I'm a crazy person? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on X at earthvox. It's where I'm the most active on social media. Of course, I'm also on Reddit at earthvox. I don't know what we would do there. You can send an email to the real earthvox at protonmail.com. I will not sell your information to anyone, I promise. Scout's honor. And you can send voicemail, should you be so brave, to 701-787-1121. I'll be back.